Well, hello. Hello there, Unshakable agents. Welcome to Spencer Uncensored tonight. This is December the 12th, 2023, and we are going to hit a few things. Probably about 15, 20 minutes. Don't plan to stay here too long. Actually, let me grab... Gotta have the magic hat on. The only one in existence. Anyway, glad everyone's here. Those of you that are popping in, thank you for being here. I'm going to cover a couple things just for updates, and then I will hit a thought that I had earlier today that I wanted to share with you guys, and then I'm going to share with you the a few of what's called beliefs of excellence, and I'll tell you why. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But first, let me hit this up. What's happening, Carl? Carl Wade. If that's the Carl Wade I'm thinking of, that's a man that knows how to do lead generation the right way. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Now, I believe he actually drives a truck, like dumpster truck, right? Or not dumpster truck. What do you guys call that? He hauls dirt and rocks, probably. I don't know. But constantly posting stuff, and I love keeping up with him. But I met him through the motorcycle community. And I won't forget when I rolled up to a gas station in Irmo, South Carolina on my bike, and he was sitting in his truck, and he said, hey, I think he asked me a basic question about the bike. What I didn't know is that he actually was a mechanic and could work on these things. And so I ended up utilizing him to help me with a bunch of stuff. And then a friend of mine, my neighbor at the time, Matthew, used him to get a bunch of stuff done to his. But matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think Carl actually put his entire bike back together because somebody else had messed it up. Anyway, good to see your name come across my screen, Carl. I love that we be able to, through social media, we can keep up with everybody. Anyway, so here we are. This is where business owners come together to congregate and get tips, tricks, everything necessary to help you increase your profitability, increase your productivity, and increase your purpose. Okay? And by the way, those of you that are popping in, feel free to give us a thumbs up, ask questions, do whatever. I'll be glad to, interact with you guys here as much as possible. One of the things I will tell you is that once I hit, episode 52, and this is 50, by the way, if you didn't know. Last week I wasn't sure. As I said, I thought it was 48 or 49. I wasn't sure. It turns out it was 40, 49. This is 50. This is episode 50. And I want to, once we get to 52, that means we've had a full year, okay? Now, we've only missed out on Spencer Uncensored twice in the entire year, I think. And so we are very close to 1 year of doing this. I think we launched it in December of 22. So we're going to transition into more of a interview format. And what I want to do, what I'm planning on doing, I already got a list of a few people that I've already written down. I'm going to start generating conversations. And we're going to start doing what I call Unshakable agent time here. It's going to turn into more like a podcast. And I told all of you that at the very, very, very beginning, if you didn't remember. We are going to eventually turn this into a podcast. And so this was my playground to come in and just give you guys content and constantly share, which has been helpful for me, and I trust it has been for you as well. So as we keep building and we keep growing, we're gonna transition to an interview format. And what I thought would be super helpful, because of what we stand for and who we are, I thought we would do what's called Unshakable agents, or basically just bring Unshakable agents onto the scene. We have a conversation and we break down using the 5 building blocks that we share in the Unshakable framework. Help you guys understand, how do they clarify their purpose? How do they get into their priorities or determine them, right? How do they step into their power, maintain all that kind of stuff? How do they perform, right? What are their systems? How do they do what they do? And then their progress. What is their progress model like? How do they keep things going and continue to grow? I think it would be useful if we had some of those people get on here and have those conversations. But there's a couple pieces of criteria. They have to have had some level of success. It's probably the best word for it. And then two, they have to have, not have to, but almost everyone that's ever had a high level of success has had some path that included times where their lives have been disrupted, right? There's so many agents and so many people I'm talking to right now that are struggling with a lot of different things, but yet they continue to maintain a forward movement, right? It doesn't matter what's going on. Life is constantly giving us the distractions, the delusions, the derailments even, right? The demands keep showing up. And so we have to keep moving forward. That's what the whole Unshakable Agent program is about, right? So having said that, I would love to have some more examples and people come on and talk about it. And then we can all learn from those people as well. Okay. Now, I am just getting my notes here. So I'm thrilled that you're here. All right. By the way, you're welcome to, ask questions or whatever. Let's just press on here. So if you know the building blocks that we've talked about, and I just shared them, I'm going to run through them one more time. If you know them, then you can actually break down where the challenge is and what part you need to work on, okay, with your business. Let's say you're really, you've got your purpose. I mean, you're committed to your outcomes. You've got all that clear. And then you took the time to build standards, took those outcomes and broke it down into minimum expectation standards, right? These are my standards. They're numbers that have to be hit. They're models, program. They're benchmarks probably is another way to put it, right? I usually call it a plan. It's the simple way to say it. So you're focused on that plan, right? So you're committed to the outcome. You're focused on your plan. You've got that lined up now. And then you went in and you took building block 3 and you stepped into your power. You became totally accountable to everything. Like you own your shit, right? It's yours. And so you understand the humility and the honor in that, and you understand your resources, and you hold all of it accountable. So you have an accountability and you understand your resources. You've done real good at resource management. So you've stepped into your power, right? So purpose, priority, power. The next one is performance. Let me share with you why, or what I'm going into here, because I think sometimes we get all of that. We've gotten this far. And then for some reason, performance is off. And we're frustrated. I imagine you can feel that, right? If you were building and you were working on growing a business and you did all the right things in the beginning, but now it's come to like go time with actual activity, because that's what it takes to perform. To perform, you have to have a mindset of faith, a mindset of, the beliefs of excellence, and then you have to have the mechanics of a process, the mechanics of a rhythm, the mechanics of a system. Those two things have to be together and they have to be congruent. I have to believe in my system. I have to have a faith in my processes. And so that's when performance kicks in and we actually start taking action. But if we're getting consistently frustrated, this is probably where the problem lies. Now, you can get frustrated in any one of the 5 building blocks, but the fact is, many times we have all these things. I talk to agents and I talk to people, and I got the plan, man. I'm tracking everything. I got everything going, but it's just not coming together. It's just not coming together. It most often is an issue with belief. And so if we have this tentative discussion inside of our own mind about whether or not we can actually move forward or do what we need to get done, we don't go all in from a mindset perspective. I wrote this down somewhere. I've got it in all my notes here. I'm not going to pull it up, but it just came to my mind. But everybody knows what the fear response is, right? It's everybody knows fight, flight, freeze. And now, most recently, I read something that said fawn, which I guess that kind of makes sense, where you abdicate to the other party, right? So that whatever's giving you, whatever the threat situation is, you can fight it, you can run from it, or go, get away from it. You can stop and do nothing, or you can actually defer to the threat, right? That's fawn. It dawned on me that all four of those might be the appropriate response to a situation. The question is, am I doing it out of fear or am I doing it out of faith? Meaning, is the situation that's in front of me, when I choose to fight, am I fighting because I chose to, am I fighting from my faith, my beliefs? Or am I fighting because I'm afraid? Fearful fighting is not necessarily the same. It's not going to be as controlled as faithful fighting. But maybe the appropriate response to the situation that's a threat and it comes into your life, you have faith, right? You have the mental model strong enough to move forward and do what you need to be doing. You understand all the foundational stuff we've already talked about, right? With your purpose, with your priorities, with your power. We're talking about performing at this point. Something comes up and we're not sure about moving forward. How do we do that? Maybe the appropriate model is to actually, or the appropriate response would be to walk away. As long as I've learned something, that's not necessarily a failure, right? So sometimes I need to walk away. Sometimes I'm not going to fight. Sometimes I'm not going to, walk away. Sometimes the appropriate response is to freeze. I don't know that that's always the case, but sometimes we do need to pace ourselves, slow down, and let things pass. We don't need to give everything energy, do we? Just a thought. So what I'm encouraging us to understand is it needs to be coming from a position of faith, a position of strength or belief, not from a position of fear. Fawning is the same thing, deferring to the other person. Right? That actually lines up with the four answers you can have, four things you can do in any given situation. Right? You only have four options in any given situation. It lines up with that. I did a blog on that some time ago, did videos on it. You can go back and look for that. But if the challenge is the performance and you're getting frustrated because of lack of performance or results from that performance, you're going to need to break down probably either the mindset of faith, the mindset of belief, or you're going to have to break down the mechanics of the process, the system. What do I need to do better? What do I need to do different? And that's where models come in play. I've used that word a couple times, but finding someone that's already getting the result. What's their system? What's their process? But if you're doing the stuff that everybody's telling you to do exactly, and you're doing it just like somebody else who's done it successfully, and you're still not getting the same result, there's a strong chance it's a mindset situation. Not always, but sometimes. If all things equal with purpose, if all things are equal with priorities, if all things are equal with power, we have the same resources, we got all the same stuff, but we're not getting the same result, it comes down to the performance, and it's most likely a mindset discussion. Let me run through just a couple of beliefs that are referencing beliefs of excellence, okay? The map is not the territory. This is straight out of NLP stuff, by the way, guys. Okay? So you want to go study NLP, you're welcome to. I can give you a referral for where you can go off for 20-something days and get trained. Okay? Number one is the map is not the territory. Now, what I'm referring to there is the way you see the world is not the same as what the world actually is. And so if I understand, if I can change my map, I can actually change my world. I can change the perception of the way things are. Because I, for whatever reason, because of my own mind, the way I see the world is actually just a map of what I think the world is. And because that's true, that's also true for other people. And so when I need to communicate and do a really good job of communicating with them, I must be able to meet them in their map of the world first and see the world the way they see it. Now, if you're sitting here going, oh, well, hold up, what does this have to do with performance? It has everything to do with performance. Because if your map of the world doesn't match up with what you're looking to do, it's not going to work. And so you have to have that mental adjustment to your map so that it matches what you want to see. Another belief is that the mind and the body, right? So psycho-cybernetics, some would call it, the mind-body connection. Those two are connected. So if you're struggling with mental conversations, you probably need to adjust the physical one. I did recently a 3-day fast. It was really more of me getting a grip on myself, right? I felt some uncertainties going on, so I needed to get it. And so I interrupted the pattern physically, which then interrupted the mental pattern. Now, it obviously has chemical changes for you that actually are beneficial when you fast. I'm not saying you have to fast. It could be that you just need to get up and go for a walk. It could be that you need to stop and clean your room, right? There's things that you can do to physically change how you feel, which is also going to interrupt or change the way you think. It can go both directions. Sometimes it's the best way to interrupt our mental pattern by interrupting our physical pattern. Your breathing, the way you sit, the way you stand, the way you talk to people, your eyebrows, where your face is at. All those things can change your mind. So just remember those two, how they're connected. I'm just looking to see if any of these, because there's a whole list of them. I'm not going through all of them. Language and precision, yep, for influence. Understanding the value of how words matter, right? The unconscious mind is a resource. That's a belief. Understanding that your unconscious part of your mind controls everything. There's only so much that you can actually think about consciously, right? The unconscious part of your mind does a lot more work. So, all right, I think I've said enough. Here's the bottom line. If you're getting frustrated and you're not getting where you want to go, then you're going to need to probably address the performance piece. If you're listening to this and you want somebody to walk through some of this conversation or how to figure out what you want to do for next year or the year ahead of you or the next 3 months, or you have a team and you want to help increase their productivity, their profits, and their purpose, I am more than willing to have that conversation. You can go to spencercombs.com and schedule an appointment. We can get together and talk about it. I would love to do that. Also, this is the end of the year. Those of you that are in real estate, there is a 5 holiday tactics best first quarter course that we put together. You're welcome to go download the PDF for free. And that's also over at spencercombs.com on the front page. So anyway, with all that being said, I appreciate all of you being here. Remember to like and share. Please get the word out. The YouTube channel is up and running. We've been doing a good bit with that. We got now over 6,000 views. So things are going in the right direction. We want to just keep it going. All right. So if any of you need anything, just message us here. Have a good one.